Well, there it is.
Don't know where we left off.
Chris has departed. We're going to carry on.
We don't know where it left off, unfortunately, so...
It's our best guess.
30 minutes, 45 minutes of talk could be lost.
It could be lost. We're going to press on. Alright, so where we left off for real was Jim Tomei. I think we discussed that pretty well.
Yeah.
Jack Cust. Break that down for me. What do you think about that? He was your player.
Yeah.
Could be again, maybe.
Unfortunately, I don't have a second round pick, and I'm concerned that someone will take him before I pick again in the third round.
He was good against righties.
He was really good. He has the 35th best ops against righties in the whole league. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 35 out of how many hitters are there?
Right.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
In the draft.
We have 20 teams in our league.
Yeah.
So I mean,
someone's going to get him later than he should go. And they're going to have, he played in Oakland,
stat book. Stat book.
He played in Oakland, which typically for lefties is not a hospitable environment.
No.
According to the stat book, wow. According to the stat book, the index against left-handed batted homers is 50.
No kidding. Wow.
Now, the game might have something different, but it's probably not going to be 150.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be pretty low, too.
It'll be a low number.
50.
That's incredible.
And in 3 years, it's 88. So Mr. Cust could be a real steal for someone.
Fellas texting us.
Hopefully me.
Castro for Weaver. It's a trade offer.
Fidel.
Oh, that's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that like an honest...
I don't know. I'm going to put let's
You
talk
have Jared
tomorrow.
Weaver?
Yeah. Hang on. Sorry, folks.
You going to do that?
Not tonight, I'm not.
Would you think about it?
Maybe. What do you think about it?
I think I'd be all over it. I think we know the upside of Jared Weaver, and the thing is I think the upside of Fidel Castro is Henry Ramirez.
Well, and
Manly
that's
Hanley.
exactly what I think. But this is good because I'm kind of playing hard to get, which helps with Chris. It's the reverse Jedi mind trick sort of thing.
You have the mirror up. It's sort of like the Medusa in the mirror.
What's great is, he's been thinking about that for a really long time, and he waited until he got in the car at 1:15 in the morning or whatever it is.
Half drunk, driving home on an icy road.
No, yeah.
In
Not
a
watching.
gigantic
Not watching
SUV.
at all. That is, ladies and gentlemen, Statman. There you go. Chris fell in a nutshell. Okay, so.
I wonder if that thing can hear a thing we're saying with blind and plain.
Probably, that's not very loud. And the speakers are pointing this way.
Yeah, that's good fun. Anyway,
Sean Burnett. What do you think about that?
I need to.
First of all, I was stunned somebody kept Sean Burnett. That's not a knock on Sean Burnett. I just didn't know he was keeping.
Great guy, done the show many times.
Lovely guy. He loves his country. He's a good dancer. likes animals.
Quiet walks in the park.
Probably
chats.
never fudged his taxes.
Happy to be out of Pittsburgh.
Happy to be out of Pittsburgh.
He is, as I thought, monstrously funk. Lefties quickly. The triumvirate 273, 327, 384. Righties 182, 253, 234.
Wow.
Valuable.
Very good pitcher.
He's a reliever. He'll go in the first 5 rounds probably, but it may not be till the 5th round.
And there's so many good relievers.
Deal here. I don't know his fatigue though. If it's fair, I mean, I don't know. I have to sort of eyeball it.
All right, this will be a good guess, I'm sure. Another message from
He's
the
probably
Statman.
average, I would guess, but he might be fair.
Prefer to do it while you're drunk. That's Chris's rule. We're just gonna ignore that one. Make him think a little bit.
As the classic Jim Berwitz line was, ignore it and hope the problem
And hope the problem goes away. Although, I should probably do that trade, like you said. Anyway, Sean Burnett. Sorry.
He's probably average, maybe fair. He's good. He was good the year before, and he's good this year.
How old is Sean Burnett these days?
Only 28.
Wow. Seems like he's been around a long time. Good pitcher.
You know what? He came up in 04, and he didn't play again in the majors till 08.
For the Pirates?
Yeah.
Huh.
Both times for the Pirates, yeah.
He's turned into a good player.
He is.
Okay, Ryan Braun. This one's interesting. Darren lost Ryan Braun.
You know,
He's not very happy about it.
he shouldn't be. Here's something interesting. Every year of Ryan Braun's career, his slugging percentage has gone down.
That is interesting. How old is he now?
27. He's 27 as of. He's 20. He'll play this season at 26.
So is the league
27.
figuring him out a little bit, maybe? He's
I don't
kind
know.
of a free swinger, Ryan Braun.
He is, and but his on base percentages, while they haven't gone straight up, they've gone up significantly. So I don't know what to make of him.
Fish eyes, as my wife calls him.
He's he's good. You know what? His numbers look a lot like Jason Worth's. 45 doubles, 25 homers. What's Worth? 46 and 27, something like that.
Yep.
Hit 304. Worth was like 290 something. Slugged 501. Worth was 510 something. I don't know.
That sounds right.
365 on base. What was Worth? Worth was a little bit better.
Probably higher this
390.
year, but this, I mean, Worth doesn't usually hit 290.
Yeah, very similar. He'll go in the first round.
Darren may redraft him at number 2.
He may, and it wouldn't be a bad redraft.
No. I don't think Steve will take Ryan Braun at number 1.
I wouldn't if I were.
I wouldn't either, I don't
Not
think.
a lefty.
I think I would take Troy Tulowitzki if I had that pick.
Well, the analogy continues forward. Ryan Braun hammered righties.
So he's a freak.
He is. He's good.
Not like, that wouldn't be a bad pick at number
No,
1.
it wouldn't. I think though, depending on what Steve is looking to do, Worth would be a better pick at number 1 than Ryan Braun.
And I think Tulowitzki would be too.
But I think Braun is a better pick beyond 2010 than Jason
I agree with
Worth.
that for sure.
Yeah, Tulowitzki is looking more. Buster Posey, I don't know. He likes Buster Posey.
He loves Buster Posey.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah, I would love to have Buster Posey. I have no chance of drafting
That's Ryan
Buster
Braun.
Posey.
He'll be gone in the first 10 picks.
Yep, for sure. Yvonne Gallardo is the next man on the list.
He's a little bit of an enigma. I've always really thought he was really good, and he came up and initially had success, then got hurt, but he's really erratic.
So Gallardo is what, 25?
25.
Okay. Lucky guess.
Good guess. Educated guess.
Educated guess.
Wow. What do I say about Yvonne Gallardo?
How's his control? I don't know the numbers. I don't have to
Yeah,
memorize.
well, okay, in 2009, he threw 185 innings, walked 94. That's pretty wild. Not Bobby Witt wild, but it's wild. This year, he threw the same number of innings and walked 20 fewer guys.
Wow.
But he gave up 28 more hits.
How are the homers?
21 in 2009 and 12 in 2010. Not
Wow.
surprising considering how much offense was down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like him for 2011, and if you needed a number 4 starter, I mean, it's the state of our league, I guess, but if you needed a number 4 starter, he's a good pick. If you need a number 1 for 2010, keep looking. I don't know.
He's somebody who could fall, I think.
You know, pitchers in general, I think, will slide a little bit. There's those guys, you know, he's the kind of guy Eric would take in a draft. And he would, not this year be great, but, you know, in the year or two afterwards, because Eric didn't always build a team for today, and that's part of the reason why Eric was consistently good at
Yep.
depth. But I don't, I could see Shane drafting him.
That's a good prediction.
I could see Mitch drafting him.
I could see Villar drafting him.
I don't know Villar well enough to, but that's.
I think Villar's got enough offense where he might be looking at pitching around. He's 18.
He hit tremendous upside. He's 25.
Yeah.
But he's still in that injury range that makes you a little worried.
He's another one of those guys, like, where you go, good baseball player, maybe not a great diamond mine player.
Yeah, that's a good.
And that's sort of no fun,
Yeah.
because they ought to be both, but that's how the game works.
He struck out 200 guys in 185 innings.
That's tremendous.
The year before, 204 in 185 innings. The guy's a stud.
Yeah.
If I was a major league team, I'd be all over this dude. As a diamond line owner,
It's a little sketchy.
yeah. If I was,
I mean, he should be good. Doesn't mean he will be, because we know any pitcher could be crappy or good in
yeah,
diamond
let me
line.
look at the splits real quick. Yeah, I like him a lot, but I have a feeling someone will get a deal on him.
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think. That's a good way to say it.
Lefties hit him.
What was the
The
numbers?
triumvirate is 280, 366, 415.
So he'll definitely fall then.
He'll slide.
That might be somebody I'd target in the second round.
In 2011, he could be huge, and especially that team's going to be good. I think in 2011,
I agree.
he'll be one of many studs on that staff.
The next guy on the list is Carlos Beltran. Is younger than I'll bet the average fan would be willing to. If you had to guess his age, I'll bet we'd miss it.
I'll guess it.
I'm gonna guess 34.
34 is it. He'll play the whole season at 34.
I mean, that's somebody who seems like he should be 36 years old, 37 years old, and he's obviously not.
He may not go in the first 5 rounds. He was pretty bad in 2010, but he did hit lefties a little bit. He hit 292, 364, 646.
Wow.
So
Boom ba.
he'll go in the first 5 rounds
Just because of his name.
he hit lefties. There's some value in that.
And he plays center field.
He plays center field, although I don't know how well anymore.
Yeah, he might get a bad rating.
I could see he's still young enough. He could bounce back. I see some value there.
Yeah, I do too. I've always liked him.
I hate to mention this, but I'm gonna.
It's okay.
This is the correct form for this. So
That's right.
anyway, I think if there's a poster child for ped use, I think he might be it. Evidence only, no
I can see
whispers,
that, yeah.
nothing else. But here's his home run totals. 38, 16 his first year in New York, 41, 33, 27, 10, 7.
Very, very likely, I would say. I hope I'm wrong, because I've always liked that guy as a player.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really care either way. It's just statistically, he's taken a nosedive, and I would draft him as that extra dude I need to hit lefties. But as far as with an eye towards the future, I think
Best days are behind him.
he's winding her down.
Speaking of winding down, Torrey Hunter. That's our next man on the hit list.
Honestly, he's not a guy I would possibly draft.
He doesn't fit my model either. But he had a pretty good year. Not spectacular, but solid, I guess. Be a good description.
Yeah,
He had like 25 homers, maybe.
23, and considering offense was down as much as it was.
Qualified in center. Don't know what his rating will be. I mean, the Angels just acquired Vernon Wells, presumably to move him to a corner.
Yeah.
And
How
does
old
he?
do you think he is?
I'm gonna say 35.
He's
35. Is his bat good enough to play right field in the American League? I don't know.
Yeah. 36 doubles, 23 homers, 460 slugging. Good enough.
Respectable, yeah. He's one of those guys. These like little phrases irritate me, but I guess I understand the value. High energy guy, stuff like that always irritates me. But that probably means more to ball players than it means to fans.
Yeah, probably a pretty good guy in the clubhouse. Hits righties quite a bit better than lefties. Interesting.
Which he didn't always do that.
No.
He was a twin for sure.
No, not at all. Not a ton of outfielders in the draft. Kind of like Jack Cust. He's useful. He's good.
The next outfielder and the next guy on the list is the pride of Chatham, Illinois, Jason Worth. This will be interesting. Because there seem to be two camps in our league about Jason Worth. There's a camp that you and I seem to be in. I don't mean to speak for you, correct me if I'm wrong, but good player, maybe slightly overrated. And then the freaky, he's the greatest thing since the invention of the wheel.
Well, okay. Jason Worth is a perfect example of a player who had some skills that were interesting and deserved an opportunity to get on the field and show what they could do. Been many guys like him before. I mean, Jack Cust is another beneficiary of the opportunity. There's just a ton of guys. Roberto Pettigini was a guy you mentioned earlier who didn't get the opportunity.
No, he didn't.
Given the opportunity, maybe he goes out and, doesn't get a $126 million contract because he played 20 years ago, but
right.
makes some money and makes a mark perhaps. Jason Worth is a guy who, in my opinion, is a quality major leaguer that should be a starting player in Major League Baseball. He's something just short of an all-star, but he's something. But he falls somewhere in between an average player and an all-star. He's a complimentary player, as I saw them mention on MLB Network when he was signed.
That's right. That's right.
He's a good complimentary player. As your number 4 hitter, or as a guy who is the center of your team, or who you would spend $126 million on, that's where he falls a little short for me.
I couldn't agree more.
That said, and I'll just say this for the people who believe in fielding, I'm not a buyer of that. Look, you gotta have a glove, you gotta go out there, whatever. He's a guy who statistically is average at best.
Bible says so.
Bible says so. Diamond Mine says so. He's fair. I just looked at this a little while ago. He's fair in center and average in right with an excellent throwing arm. He does have a good throwing arm.
Yeah, he does. That's true.
But to kind of discuss him in the context of what we're talking about, he is he's a quality major leaguer who had what will end up being probably what I predict his best season of his career this past year, and he should go in the first 10 picks in our draft.
He probably will. I mean, where's Adam pick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Adam may redraft him.
For a team, he's useful now for a team that is kind of drafting with more, maybe a little bit towards this year, but more of an eye towards next year. He's not a good pick, I don't think.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock against him, it's a knock against any guy on the wrong side of 30.
Okay. Very good. Our next player is Joaquin Soria. Royals reliever.
Good reliever in a year where there's a lot of great relievers.
Boy, that's for sure.
He'll go in the first 5 rounds, more towards round 5.
And right after him, Billy Wagner.
A great reliever in a year with a lot of great relievers. He's the 3rd best reliever available in the draft. Embarrassment of riches, he may not go in the first round.
And he's not playing, presumably, in 2011.
Yeah, we'll see. Chris seems to.
He's on the Braves 40-man roster.
He is, and Chris was talking like he thought there was a chance he'd pitch this year.
I hope he does. I mean, he was really good last year.
He's too good to quit now. I'd rather see a guy go out on a whimper than go out when he clearly is so good still.
Especially if they think they can win, which they should be pretty good.
Yeah, I want to see the race be interesting. I mean, the Phillies are stacked. The Braves need every possible quality player they can get their hands
It's really a two-horse race in that division, don't you think? I mean, the Marlins aren't good enough to win. I mean, anybody can win. The Padres proved last year. They played right to the last weekend of the season, but so anything can happen. But on paper, it's really those two teams and everybody else, don't you think, in the East?
on paper, I think it's the Phillies. Then take a step back, the Braves.
Yeah, maybe
and then
a wild
take a
card
step
contender.
back, and then several other teams. But
I mean, the Nationals aren't going to win this year.
No.
Strasburg's hurt.
yeah,
The Mets aren't going to win this year.
I love some of the players the Nationals have. Jordan Zimmerman.
I like
Roger Bernardina. Of course, Ryan Zimmerman, no-brainer. I think that they really took a little bit of a step backwards by getting rid of Adam Dunn.
Me
not
too.
Signing him.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Worth doesn't replace Dunn's bat, but I like Ian Desmond a lot. There's a guy who I think is going to be one of those. He's going to replace, as Jeter fades, he's going to replace Derek Jeter.
There you go. Write it down, folks.
January 22nd.
Second, probably 23rd by now.
It's actually the 23rd.
Yeah. Michael Bourne, the Bourne Identity.
Next.
You know. Okay, next. Victor Martinez, my player.
Maybe the best hitter in the league against lefties.
He's right up there.
He's a catcher. He's injury prone. He's a guy who had an off year. Where is he now?
Detroit.
Oh,
Pretty big contract.
wow. Well, as a
Which
hitter,
surprised
you
me
don't
as
like
a
that.
sort of closet Tigers fan.
Yeah.
They seem to have
Who was their catcher?
Alex Avila, and then they had Gerald Laird. Oh my God! So Gerald Laird's gone, thank goodness. So I don't know how much catching Victor's gonna do.
Why? Who would catch?
Avila, I'm
Is
assuming.
he good or?
He's good in the minors.
Was he? Okay.
He's a lefty bat. He's got good power. He was terrible last year. I mean, he regressed last year.
Like Lars Anderson regressed, or?
He just was all kinds of bad. But I am a fan of that guy. I think he has potential to be a pretty good hitting catcher. So I think Victor will DH a lot. I think he'll I don't know, catch half the time maybe.
He's actually, this Alex Avila is really interesting.
I like him as a player. Excuse me.
According to this, he hasn't played in the minors since '09. But when he played in the minors, he walked a lot, hit a lot of doubles,
He's got some ability.
some power, but he walks a lot. Yeah, he was terrible for the Tigers.
He was bad last year.
But in '09, when he came up from the Tigers, he was really good.
Yeah, he did. And
60 at bats.
yeah,
Interesting. Victor Martinez, yeah, he probably kind of get that Carlos Guillen role, sort of.
and they still have him.
Oh, do they?
They've got a lot of. I'm not sure how all the
Some
pieces are
really
going to
old
fit.
players then. Like
They've got Brennan Bosch. They've got Mags.
Max. Who's the other one there that's really old? Or maybe that's it.
Well, they signed not the same position.
Oh, Damon, but he's gone.
Johnny Peralta's there. Brandon Ninja's there. I don't know. They've got a lot of uncertainty.
Just as an aside, I have to mention that I came across this player who, as a surprise to me, a lot of good relievers out there, but Joel Peralta, have you seen Joel Peralta's?
I have not.
49 innings, 30 hits, 5 homers, 9 walks, 4 intentional,
Wow.
49 Ks.
Who did he pitch for?
Washington.
I had no idea.
No clue, I didn't either. Just bumped into those numbers the other day. He's one of the best relievers in the league. Component ERA 143.
That's outstanding.
Very good. Anyway, there you go.
We talked
little
about.
tip for you guys.
There
out
you go.
for
Write it
reference.
down, sports fans.
Yeah.
We talked about Tulowitzki earlier, so let's move on to Posey. Lester Posey.
Crushing blow for Steve.
Yeah.
feel for you, Steve. I lost Jason Hayward last year. He's good. If you don't take Tulo with your first pick, Steve, just my 2 cents, I'd take Posey back.
He may do that. He really might. He absolutely loves that guy.
I mean, good pitcher's ballpark. Don't know what the ballpark factor is offhand, but Posey's good. He's a rookie, and he hit 18 homers, hit 305. He's hitting over 320 for most of the year. If he somehow made it to me with the 5th pick,
Yeah.
well, he won't. But somehow, if he did, I would take him.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And I dealt him to Steve, and even though I have Santana and Wieters, I would take Buster Posey because
He looks like the real deal.
He is the real deal, in my opinion.
Our last 2 guys are Cordero, who we're assuming is the Reds reliever, and Angel Pagan.
Guess we're done.
So if you had to handicap it, Steve has the first pick. Who do you think he'll take? If somebody put a gun to your head and said,
Yeah, I mean,
predict today. a
you
month
know
before the
Steve's
draft.
thoughts better than I would about this, but
Steve usually thinks about beer in his next meal.
but okay, well, we ate pizza earlier,
We did.
and we could go eat more,
We could.
and I have a beer right here,
I'm about to get another one.
and actually I am too. My money is on him taking Posey back.
I'm gonna say Tulowitzki.
But I don't know what Steve thinks about as far as pitchers, because Daniel Hudson is really good. He's the best starter in the league. He has an average fatigue as a starter, and just after he's gone, a lot of spaces have to get jumped before you get to the next best starter that's available in the draft. Last year, the players dumped in the draft, it was really pitcher rich. This year, starting pitcher rich. This year, it is not at all.
No.
And I don't know who the best starter is available after Hudson, but there's a lot of good hitters here, and I know of one really good starter.
He has a lot of picks in the first round, so I think with his first pick he'll take a hitter. That's what I think. So it'll be Posey or Tulowitzki. That's my prediction. I think he'll take Tulowitzki. That's what I think.
I would be afraid of that pick because he's a Rocky, and Rockies have an uneven track record in Diamond Line.
You're right.
I'm more apt to want to take players that pitch, for example, pitchers that pitch in good hitters' parks, and vice versa. So, I think the safer pick is Posey, honestly. Just raw numbers, Tulo is much better.
Right. But you just don't know what the Rocky factor is going to be.
Yeah.
And he's injury prone.
He's injury prone. Posey as a player, man, we don't have much of a track record to go on, but he's not injury prone. Tulo as a young player is kind of injury prone. I don't know his injuries. You're gonna get hit in the pitch hitting the wrist with a pitch. I mean, you're just gonna get hurt. But, I don't know. Some guys, Eric Davis was always just hurt. Maybe Tulo is Eric Davis.
That could be.
Maybe Buster Posey is just Cal Ripken.
Well, Darren is sitting next. You'd think, unless
he takes the guy that Steve didn't
Yeah,
take
that's what I think. Unless he really wants Ryan Braun back. So maybe Jay.
If Darren has either of those 2 guys sitting in front of his lap, Darren's a great drafter. He'll take one of those 2 guys.
Yeah. So Jay may end up with Ryan Braun at number 3. Jay would probably take Jason Worth.
That's, there's a real sleeper there. Jay I spoke to him the other day, and he was trying to, he was inquiring as to the availability of Carlos Santana, but then followed that up with Matt Wieters, and I think there's a pretty good chance that he might pass on his old pal and, maybe shoot for a young player. Jay's a pitcher, so Giovanni Gallardo would not surprise me. I don't know. Daniel Hudson.
Maybe he takes Daniel Hudson. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. But certainly if Tulo or Posey's there, that's who he takes.
Then right before you is Ben, who we don't know anything
no
about.
report on Ben. Ben 10 for all I know.
He may take this year's Paul Abbott.
He might take Angel Pagan, Francisco Cordero, and his 38 saves.
Right.
No, Ben.
Hopefully Ben doesn't do that.
Ben,
if you're watching, don't do that.
No, if you think you have a team that could win this year, Jason Worth is a great pick.
Tommy.
Jim Tomey is the best pick, but I kind of like him, so give me the option to pass on him. Andrew McCutcheon, Andre Ethier are good picks. If you really want to wing it a bit, Gordon Beckham. I love Gordon Beckham. I think he's going to be really good.
I would like to get him. If he's there in the second round when I pick, which I don't, maybe he'd be there because his year wasn't that great last year. I could see me doing something
One
like
thing
that.
I can say with certainty, in my opinion, which my opinion's not worth much, but how many world titles have I won? But I would not take one of those really sexy relievers with that pick. There's too much other good talent that's
I agree.
far more precious than a good reliever.
I just wouldn't take a reliever in the top 5 unless I thought I was going to win the whole thing, and that was the missing piece.
Yeah. And then if it comes to me and Tomey's there, and I with the players that have been dropped, I'll need to reassess things a bit. But Tomey's a real possibility at that pick.
It'd be hard to pass up.
If Posey's there, certainly I would think long and hard about that. But if Adam Dunn can be pried loose,
Which you can't.
okay. If I made that move and Tomey was there, I would take Jim Tomey.
All right. I think we've gone through it all. That's the list.
Jim, when do you draft?
Second round, slot number 15. So a whole bunch of good guys are going to be gone before I pick.
Yeah.
I traded my first round pick, unfortunately.
So give me an idea of the kind of player that you'd be looking at.
I'm really looking to try to get young hitters with a lot of upside.
Starling Castro.
Like Fell just offered me Starlin Castro. I have a shortstop, Stephen Drew, but I could play one of those guys at second base since we don't have any sort of rule about that anymore. And this would be the year to do that because I don't really care about my one-loss record.
What if like McCutcheon or Ethier were there?
I'd be happy with either one of those guys. I mean,
Does that fit the mold of what you're...
I like Andre Ethier. I used to have him. I traded him for in a Justin Morneau deal a couple years ago with Darren. He's a guy. He's a guy you have
was
to.
there, would you take?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would be happy with that. Ethier's one of those guys you have to platoon. And in Diamond Mine, I really don't like having platoon players because I'm not managing the games.
Yeah.
So you end up with a guy getting a bunch of at bats.
What
I
about
guess.
Jack Cust? Would you take him there?
Not in the second round.
Good.
I don't think I would. Maybe. I can't say that for sure.
Would you go for just straight up prospect at that point?
I wouldn't take a prospect who didn't qualify at that in that slot. I haven't done my official prospect list yet. I started it today. But none of the guys on that list would go at that spot.
Are you aware of a Jason Hayward / Steven Strasburg type?
I guess the one everybody likes is Mike Trout. That guy from the Angels.
How did this stop?
I think his first name's Mike.
Steve?
Hopefully it's not Steve.
Chuck?
I would not take Steve. Chuck Trout, I think that's his name.
Yeah. We can only hope.
But you look at Beckham, Ethier, McCutcheon, Braun will be gone. Worth will be gone.
Would you take Worth if he was there somehow?
I would take Worth if he was there in the second round at number 15, but he'll be long gone by then. There's too many Chatham fans in our draft. I think Worth will go higher than I think he should.
Okay, let's
Tulo, Posey, those guys will be gone.
handicap it for me, Jim. Where does Worth go?
I'm gonna say, if he hasn't gone by the time Hank picks, which is number 8, Hank will take Worth. But I think he'll go before that.
So now, where do you think this song rates all time?
This is one of my, what I would call overrated John Lennon songs.
Really?
And it's probably just because of classic rock radio.
WYNG, etc.
Yeah. It's like Get Back by the Beatles. I love that song, but in Revolution, it's just like I don't really need to hear those songs anymore.
I can't hear this song enough times.
He's got better songs than this. He's got better solo songs than this.
This song
not even counting the Beatle catalog, which is great.
Yeah.
The John Lennon Beatle catalog.
To me, this song is one of the most beautiful songs, one of the most appropriate, just, I don't know, if you had to sum up John Lennon with one song, I think this
It's really
sums
good.
up John Lennon.
It's really good.
The burnout factor, though, is hard to combat.
It's kind of like Yesterday. I know that's a great song. I don't get that excited about Yesterday.
Yeah.
There are literally 100 other Paul McCartney songs that are other here than Yesterday.
So, step back for a moment, remove Imagine. What's your favorite John Lennon song?
My favorite solo John Lennon song would probably be, I like Jealous Guy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good one.
Okay.
I like Watching the Wheels very much.
Excellent song.
That's a great song.
One of the songs I really like is Number 9 Dream.
That's a great song.
That's actually coming up soon. Oh no. But Jealous Guy is.
I like,
Imagine John Lennon, the documentary, of course, was on the 30th anniversary, and the part where they play the song, they show the video, it's just, I think it's just...
and they're opening the curtains and stuff. I like Give Me Some Truth. That's a great song.
I'm trying to think.
I like,
What do you think of How Do You Sleep?
I do like it,
It's
even
a
though
cool
he's ripping
song.
on Paul McCartney. It's a great
He's
song.
just ripping him a new
He is. He's ripping him a new one. I like the song God an awful lot. My favorite, I just thought of it, my favorite John Lennon solo song is probably Working Class Hero.
Yeah, that's a good song.
That's really good.
You know, it's really sad, because, I mean, here's a dude who will hit you 25, 30 now. Oh, wait.
Here's a guy.
He'll write you 25, 30 hit singles. No, he's, well, you know this, he's my favorite Beatle, so.
He's awfully good.
I mean, here, great song, Crippled Inside.
That's a good song.
Oh Yoko, I mean, not so good.
Yeah, the Yoko songs I can do with it. Oh Yoko, my Yoko.
The Christmas one where he's talking about Yoko.
Look out, Yoko.
Park Light Yoko.
I can do without those. They're not bad. I
Happy
mean,
Xmas. New York City, not New York City.
that's a good song. He doesn't have, he doesn't have too many songs that I think are just like throwaway songs. I don't know. I think Working Class Hero would probably be my favorite John Lennon solo tune.
There's so many good songs on this box set.
That's a great box set.
Which I can send a copy around.
I would appreciate that. That'd be great.
So, if you were John Lennon, who would you pick first?
If I was John Lennon, I would pick.
Doesn't matter which team you had. Which player do you think John Lennon would pick first?
I think John Lennon would like Billy Wagner.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's
Well, no, there's some sense to that, because who was his partner in songwriting?
Paul McCartney was left-handed.
Who's left-handed,
There you go.
and he could bring it with those songwriting.
That's right.
Billy Wagner could bring it with the fastball. I think that's a great call, Jim.
Okay, well, I guessed right then.
I'm there. Well, that's just my guess too. But I'm there with you.
I don't think John Lennon would like Sean Burnett.
No.
I don't think he'd like Michael Bourne.
No.
I don't think he'd like Angel Pagan. Maybe Ryan Braun.
Maybe.
Who wears glasses? Anybody? None of those guys wear glasses.
Yeah. Boy, hardly any players wear glasses.
Are any of them married to Japanese artists? I don't think so.
But Michael Bourne might have gone on a mission to Japan and had a girlfriend over there.
That's possible.
So there's that, which is nice.
Well, that's a pretty good list of talent that got infused into our draft.
2 was probably the second or third best number that could have been rolled for those that had good draft picks.
Yeah, I think 1, 2, or 10 probably would have been the way to go. I'm glad it wasn't a 1. I'm glad I still have Adam Dunn. Although maybe not for long.
Anyway, definitely an interesting group of players.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We're a few weeks away. It's
Yeah.
coming right up. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching.
If you've made it this far.
If you made it this far, likely you haven't.
But if you have, at the draft, ask me for a free Coke and I'll give it to you.
There you go.
1 complimentary Coke
A free Coke.
for sitting through this. I'll provide the Coke, Jim will provide the bourbon, so
There you go.
it's
February 20th, write it down. It's coming right up. It's right around the corner. And
there we go.
there you go.
Something like that.
Adios.
What was it that time we did a video and you were like, Jimmy V died today?
But that's okay. That was at Knight's Action Park, I think.